Now, last night in Colorado, something fairly remarkable happened. A slim majority of 4-3 saw the fully Democrat-appointed Supreme Court of Colorado vote using Section 3 of the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, and this despite the fact similar claims have been thrown out in Michigan, New Hampshire and Florida. They have voted to take Donald Trump off the ballot for the presidential election next year, to take away an absolutely fundamental right for people in Colorado to vote for him and for him to stand. This was Donald Trump's reaction.
It's no wonder crooked Joe Biden and the far-left lunatics are desperate to stop us by any means necessary. They are willing to violate the U.S. Constitution at levels never seen before in order to win this election. Joe Biden is a threat to democracy. It's a threat. They're weaponizing law enforcement for high-level election interference because we're beating them so badly in the polls.
Well, there we are, Donald Trump, and of course none of this is making Trump weaker. Now, you may think this has never happened before, but it has. In 1860, as the country was dividing yet more ahead of that disastrous Civil War, in 1860, 10 American states forbade Abraham Lincoln from being on the ballot paper. 10 of them did it, and yet he still won and became the president. And all of this, in my view, is making Trump stronger. But my worry, I guess, is if Colorado have done this, will other Democrat states do the same? And what is the role in all of this of the U.S. Supreme Court? Well, joining me now down the line from the USA is Mike Davis, lawyer and a former Supreme Court Law Clerk. Mike, good evening. Welcome to the programme. Mike, it's quite difficult from this side of the pond to believe this is even happening. Is there a danger that other state Supreme Courts come to the same conclusion?
Well, that is the game plan by these Democrat lawyers and these Democrat activist judges. They wanted to go to a deep blue state of Colorado and establish this precedent, this abomination of a legal precedent. It is clearly wrong, clearly unconstitutional, but you have 4 of the 7 left-wing judges just going along with this illegal, unconstitutional ruling, and then they want to take this on the road. They want to use this as precedent in actual swing states like Michigan, like Minnesota, like New Hampshire. They fear they cannot beat President Trump on November 5th, 2024, after they've impeached him twice for nonsense, indicted him 4 times for non-crimes, illegally gagged him twice, tried to bankrupt his business, and now this is their legal Hail Mary to just take him off the ballot, to disenfranchise millions of American voters.
Yeah. I mean, look, the whole thing is just disgusting. But it will go, of course, necessarily, at some point. You know, ultimately it's a federal matter, isn't it, rather than a state matter? Doesn't this go to the Supreme Court? Don't the Supreme Court, when they look at this, overturn it in the interest of democracy?
Yeah, I mean, even the Democrats have said that these 4 justices went too far. They jumped the shark. And the Supreme Court of the United States, they have lifetime tenure. They have pay protection. They're supposed to be insulated from the politics, and they need to step up and do their job here and reverse this egregiously unconstitutional ruling by these 4 left-wing justices on the Colorado Supreme Court, because this is how we're going to destroy our country if they don't.
Well, the worry, of course, is that if you take away from people the right to vote democratically, they might start to take matters into their own hands. And boy, you know, if that happened, there really might be a genuine insurrection in America. It is genuinely worrying. Now, let me ask you, Mike, as someone that's worked at the Supreme Court, how quickly could they move on something like this?
Well, they need to move very fast. They just moved for expedited briefing on Jack Smith's extraordinary request to skip the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals and have the Supreme Court railroad President Trump faster before the election. The Supreme Court, if it wants to, could decide this very fast, and it needs to decide this fast because Colorado needs to print the ballots in January to be ready for the March primary.
Right, okay, yeah, so the primary's in March. Yeah, they will move quickly, won't they? Surely there'll be demands that they move quickly.
Well, I'll tell you this. They have discretionary review. They don't have to take this case, but our country is going to fall apart if Democrat operatives, including on the bench, think that they can just disenfranchise American voters and they don't get to choose who they want to be their president on November 5th, 2024.
Final thought, Mike, if I can, slightly away from the legal side of things, rather more emotional side of things. Why do they hate Trump so much?
Well, it's both parties. The uniparty in Washington hates President Trump so much because he doesn't need them. He's a billionaire. He has a better house. He has a better airplane. He has a better helicopter. He has a better car. He has better everything. He doesn't need that job, and they can't control him, and that's why they hate him.
Yeah, well, they certainly do. Thank you very much indeed, Mike Davis, for joining us. And let's hope that the Supreme Court do move very, very quickly.